Welcome back to City Life. I'm Sarasota Police Chief Peter Abbott. Unsolved crimes are never left alone. SPD detectives are assigned to work these cases along with their regular caseloads. And sometimes investigators get a break in a case. Lately, one of those breaks came in a homicide that dates back over 30 years.
Back in 1978, our patrol units went out to a murder that had occurred on Bird Key. They found the victim stabbed to death, and the investigation started with basically a manhunt for an individual that had left a backpack in the crime scene. And there was a name on one of the shirts inside the backpack, and that was pretty much the crux of the investigation for 30 years, was trying to locate and identify that individual. The detective that had it prior to me, Detective Glover, had worked it for a number of years, and unfortunately due to budgetary cuts, he was actually sent back to patrol from the detective division, and he had come to me and asked if I'd like to follow up on it when he left. So they had developed a DNA profile from cigarette butts inside the crime scene back in 2006, and they were attempting to get a DNA sample from the old suspect for over the last 30 years, who they had located in a mental hospital up in Louisiana. So I took it over at that point, believing that that was the suspect that would ultimately be responsible for the murder, which was found to be not true. What happened when I got the case was myself and Jocelyn Masson sat down and started doing an evidence review, going through exactly what we still had, making sure that all of the protocols had been followed back in the day. And what ended up happening is we began running the fingerprints again through the APHIS terminal.
When I started looking at the fingerprints, I picked out some of the ones that I thought would be APHIS quality. In other words, they were really pretty good prints. So I entered those, and lo and behold, we got a hit.
That fingerprint was off of a television knob inside the living room where the victim's body was found. And that first hit spawned a number of other hits when we started looking into it and getting better prints from other law enforcement agencies to compare other prints from inside the crime scene, which then rolled into getting an arrest warrant for our ultimate suspect. Myself and Sergeant Holmes went out to California, arrested him in California. At the time that we made the arrest in California and interviewed the suspect, we executed a search warrant on his person, got his DNA, compared that to the DNA that Detective Glover had found in 2006, as well as DNA that we had developed through our investigation in the last year, and they all matched back to our suspect. We're still working on extraditing the suspect from California back to Sarasota so he can stand trial. Upon his return, we are going to write another court order to get a major case prints, because there are actually more fingerprints that we believe to be his that need to be compared. And once that happens, he'll get his day in court, just like everyone else. I think we've gotten to a point now in policing where we're spoiled by computers and by technology a lot of times, and back then, you know, when they talk about hitting the streets and going door to door, they did it over and over and over again. They held that crime scene for over 10 days and collected numerous pieces of evidence, and they really took their time. And as I've said previously, if those guys back in 1978 hadn't done such a good job, not only with the evidence collection, but also with their investigation, we wouldn't be able to follow up these crimes today and bring them to a successful conclusion. So they work very hard on the front end, which then allows us to work on them on the back end and make things happen.
With the combined latents and the DNA and the investigative leads and the detectives doing all of their investigation, yes, I believe that a lot of our cold cases hopefully will be solved.